The city's latest murder. CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan tells us about the suspect in custody and the other one police are looking for.
Well, the plane that crashed near an East End high school, it's still there. CJ Lou has the latest in this investigation and what students thought of the wreckage.
Not guilty. That's the ruling in Toronto City Councillor Michael Thompson's sex assault trial. We have more on the judge's decision.
And Chrystia Freeland resigns from Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet. We're going to have more on her next move. That's a personal one.
This is Live at 5. Hello, I'm Melissa Duggan.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. A large police presence is still in the Kingston and Galloway Roads area. This as the investigation continues until the city's latest homicide.
Police have one person in custody, but they're looking for a second suspect. They say approached the victim before he was shot dead.
Okay, let's go live to CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve.
Yeah, Bakari, the Toronto Police tell us that they responded to calls for the sound of gunshots last night at 10:21 p.m. in the vicinity of this building behind me here at 4301 Kingston Road, which is just east of Galloway on the south side of Kingston Road. When they arrived on scene, they did locate a man who was 23 years old. He had been shot, and he died at the scene as a result of his injuries. So the homicide squad has now taken over the investigation. We saw uniforms here throughout the day, canvassing both the building behind me and the townhouse complex just east of where I'm standing right now, looking for video surveillance, witnesses, and evidence as well to help them identify who was responsible for this murder. Police told us today at a press conference that they do have one man under arrest. All they would say is that it was an adult male and that they were looking for a second unknown suspect. The person under arrest, who we captured being taken out of this apartment building earlier today around noon hour in handcuffs and put into the back of a marked police car, and that person was taken to 43 Division to be processed. That man is now facing one count of first-degree murder. The officer said to us at a press conference that they believe that this was planned and deliberate. Hence, you've got the first-degree murder charge. They're actively looking for the second suspect. We did hear from the detective sergeant in charge of this investigation just a short time ago, and here's some of what he said. Let's listen.
Residents of the area can expect an increased police presence as officers continue to canvass for evidence, including any witnesses and video. I can appreciate that any shooting in any neighborhood is a concern. I can assure you that we are dedicating any necessary resources to conduct a thorough investigation.
Honestly, they don't communicate a whole lot to us. We have to find out what the aftermath is the next day. But right where they found that shoe, that's where my kids play every day. There's still police tape right over there. So when they saw that this morning, they were kind of aghast, for lack of a better word. And unfortunately, we have to raise them to be tougher than we have to.
Police also told us during that press conference that the 23-year-old deceased was a known East End rapper. Many residents here throughout the day have told myself and my colleagues that this rapper went by the name Paco, P-A-C-O. I'll send it back to you guys.
Several developments on that front today. Thanks so much for that, Steve. Durham police are investigating the death of a woman in Newcastle as a homicide.
Officers responded to a call. This is at a home in the area of Farrell Avenue and Highway 2 shortly after 9 this morning. They found a woman in her 60s with what investigators are only describing as obvious signs of trauma. She was pronounced dead at the scene, and police are urging anyone with information about the case to come forward.
As you can see, this area behind me is quite isolated. However, if anyone does have information, we are asking them to come forward. We are currently speaking with witnesses to try to determine and build a timeline as to what occurred here.
No information about a possible suspect has been released just yet.
Durham Regional Police, they're warning the public about an aggressive dog. It's on the loose in Oshawa.
The animal is described as a dark brown or gray bulldog terrier type breed. It was last seen in the John Street and Center Street area. Police say it was one of two dogs that attacked a third dog. The second dog involved in the attack has been secured. Anyone who sees the animal is asked to keep their distance and contact police.
Engine failures being cited for the crash of a small plane at Monarch Park Stadium in Toronto's East End.
CP24 CJ Lou joining us live with the very latest on last night's crash. What's happening at the scene there right now, CJ?
Well, right now, Bakari and Melissa, they are taking the plane away. But this was the plane that made the emergency crash landing here in the heart of the city in Monarch Park. There was 3 people inside this plane, and miraculously, they all survived with no injuries. This was around 8 o'clock last night when a plane going from Orillia to Billy Bishop Airport had to make this emergency landing. And right now, you see that the pieces of the plane have been cut up to be put on this tow truck, but it made it here all in one piece. There was 3 people inside, a pilot and 2 passengers. They were all safe because it landed in this area right in between a stadium and a field, not damaging anything. There was people on the field at the time. They weren't hurt either. And the Transportation Safety Board, they have taken over the investigation now, and they tell us that it was an engine failure that caused this plane to crash. And when it comes to engine failures, we spoke to Flight Club. That is the company who rented out this plane. They say it's hard to say what causes engine failures, but this is something that pilots train for, and we can see this plane being towed out of the area. It's been sitting here since about 8 o'clock yesterday when that crash took place. But we'll let you hear more from the co-founder of Flight Club just about the pilot's ability to land this plane all in one piece with no one injured.
This pilot did a phenomenal job. From the time that you lose power at under 3,000 feet to the time that you're on the ground is minutes. So the amount of information that this pilot sort of evaluated, took in, noticed the people on the field, noticed the busy traffic in the area, and landed basically in the parking lot was phenomenal.
When we started first hearing about a plane crash in my 17 years at the TDSB, we've never had a plane crash near a TDSB school. So, of course, looking at the phone, praying, hoping that no one was injured. And once that was determined that there were no injuries, again, for all of us, it was this collective sigh of relief.
And there you were hearing from a spokesperson with the TDSB. That is because where I'm standing right now, just steps away is where the plane crash took place. You can see the fences that were down. So that is a grandstand for a stadium. There were people playing soccer at the time. And just a few steps down is a school, Monarch Park Collegiate Institute. No one was hurt, so classes were able to return to normal today. And because of this situation, because no one was hurt, there was a bit of lightness. You know, a lot of people coming to this neighborhood to want to see the plane. It's not every day you get to see such a miraculous landing, but everyone just really saying this pilot making this emergency landing, quick thinking. But as of right now, the scene has finally cleared. There is not a lot of damage, as you can see, just a few broken fences. We see as well the Transportation Safety Board. They are here on site doing an investigation. They have been speaking to witnesses last night, tonight, and the latest update we got from them was that this was an engine failure. But of course, they'll want to interview the pilot to see what really happened here. But guys, this is really a best case scenario. Minimal damage, no one injured inside the plane or on the ground. Just a few fences that are broken. So a lot of people in this community saying this is really a good news story today. A miracle, they're calling it. Bakari, Melissa?
Oh, that is just incredible. And I appreciate you giving us a close-up look at that damaged plane and the damage on the ground there. I was there last night. We were kept pretty far away from it. So just to see it up close, it really just shows just how miraculous this landing was. Thanks so much for that update. We appreciate it, Sija. Let's check in on the commute now with CP24 traffic specialist Adjuancia Yeboah. Hey, Adj.
Hey, we were making your way out. It has been a busy go, Melissa, out there on the major routes. Slow go because of problems that are impacting the drive on the northbound lanes of the Don Valley Parkway. This is just as you make your way north of Don Mills. Crews on scene of this collision. It's the 2 left lanes that are blocked. Again, it's only that right lane that continues to get by. Here's what it's doing to the drive. Very slow from pretty much right on off the Gardner up towards that collision. Southbound on the Don Valley Parkway, not too sure why they're zoomed here, but the ramp that takes you to Bayview Bloor, that's closed as well following a collision. Once that reopens, we'll keep you in the know as well. Problems brand new on the westbound 401 in the Express. This is just west of Mavis. Right lane blocked because of a stalled vehicle. And on the QEW, Niagara-bound QEW, let's start with the Toronto-bound side because the camera's out. Toronto-bound QEW ramp to the westbound 403. We have the left lane blocked at the collision. And outside of camera view on the Niagara-bound QEW, past Trafalgar, another collision there does have the right lane blocked. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Toronto City Councillor Michael Thompson has been found not guilty of sexually assaulting 2 women. This is at a cottage in Muskoka.
CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live with more on the verdict. Hi, Natalie.
That's right. Councillor Michael Thompson, who has served on council for more than 20 years, was acquitted today at a courthouse in Midland. Declared not guilty of both counts of sexual assault that had been leveled against him. This dates back to Canada Day weekend in 2022. In the first accusation, Councillor Thompson was accused of inappropriately touching a woman on the dock while applying sunscreen to her. The judge saying today that he had questions about the reliability of the testimony, questioning inconsistencies in that testimony, having to do with their positioning on the dock, the fact that other people so close to them did not see this happen. The second accusation had to do with the allegation that he had forced himself sexually on another woman in the middle of the night after she had allegedly fallen asleep drunk. The judge in this case questioned Michael Thompson's version of events, but ultimately pointed to the fact that he was concerned that the witness, the complainant's memory may have been skewed here, both by intoxication, memory loss, or potentially periods of blackout, ultimately saying that there was no way beyond a reasonable doubt that he could declare the councillor guilty here. We do understand that the councillor is reacting outside the doors of the Midland Courthouse right now, and so we will be bringing you the latest on that tonight on CTV News at 6. Back to you.
Okay, CTV's Natalie Johnson reporting live. It's 5:11. This is Live at 5.
Vaughan is ending its speed camera program effective immediately. And Premier Doug Ford says an announcement is coming soon. Stay with us. Vaughan is scrapping its speed camera program 3 months after pausing it.
Yeah, council approved a motion put forth by Mayor Stephen Del Duca to terminate the speed camera program effective immediately. The cameras were only activated in March, but they were soon targeted by vandals, and they also led to complaints from residents. So Mayor Del Duca joined us live this morning to explain why he pushed to end the program.
We've all heard over the last few months since we paused the program in June from our residents who have told us that they want to slow down, and they are slowing down, but the speed cameras have not been performing well for them. It's a really tough time in our city right now because we have significant challenges around law and order and crime. Our residents have told me that they want me and council to prioritize their safety when it comes to things like home break-ins, homes that are being shot at, home invasions.
Premier Doug Ford says an announcement on speed enforcement cameras is coming. Ford has repeatedly called the cameras taxpayer cash grabs.
And there's so many ways to reduce and slow down traffic than gouging people when they go 3 kilometers over the speed limit. It's unfortunate some mayors decided to go that avenue, but we'll work with the mayors. I look forward to working with them.
Premier, you're all about enforcement, and these speed cameras are proven to work. They slow drivers down.
Well, the only thing proven is that they take money out of taxpayers' pockets. I know how to slow down traffic. I can put it to a halt, slow it down. I've spent 4 years doing that at City Hall, and they know it too. When they talk to me privately, they come out and they tell me straight out, well, it's not about that. We need the money.
Okay, so Premier Doug Ford says that he believes his idea for a tunnel under the 401 is going to be backed by the Prime Minister as a project of national interest, which could fast-track its potential development.
Do you really think Prime Minister Carney is going to back your Highway 401 tunnel? Is that a project in the national interest?
I believe he will.
Has he said anything to you about it?
I just believe he will.
But how is it a national project? Isn't this kind of like a pet project of yours?
Well, considering it's the busiest highway in North America and 50% of the GDP comes through Toronto, and it's costing us $58 billion of lost productivity, I think it's pretty national.
Prime Minister Mark Carney recently named the first 5 projects in the national interest that will be fast-tracked, which is intended to strengthen the country's economy and economic independence in the face of U.S. tariffs. Ford says the province's critical mineral-rich Ring of Fire region will be in the next set of projects.
According to a new report out, this was released today. Poverty and food insecurity in Canada, it's gone up almost 40% over the past 2 years.
The 2025 Poverty Report Card from Food Banks Canada gives the country an F in unemployment and food insecurity, but the federal government gets a C for legislative progress on housing and social supports. That works out to an overall grade of D. Food Banks Canada is calling on the government to commit its cutting food insecurity in half by 2030.
The cost of things like essentials like rent and food has gone up 25% over the last 4 years, and that's particularly impacting low-income folks across Canada. So we're seeing folks in the lowest income percentiles spend more than half of their income on rent. They're dipping into their savings, and of course, as we look to growing unemployment rates, the financial resilience of folks becomes a growing concern.
On the positive and hopeful side of things, the community continues to rally around the Daily Bread Food Bank across the city of Toronto. They continue to support this organization because they know that the money and the food that they contribute in our fall food drive will go directly to individuals who are food insecure. And sadly, now 1 in 4 Canadians are food insecure. And so they have rallied around our cause. And it's not just about getting the food behind me out to the community. It's about how we mobilize as an army of good and how we mobilize our voices to be able to advocate for the changes.
And the Daily Bread Food Bank is launching its Thanksgiving food drive this week with the goal of raising $4.4 million and 225,000 pounds of food. And this year, food banks in Toronto alone are expected to see more than 4 million visits. That's almost 5 times pre-pandemic levels. Daily Bread now spends more than $20 million a year on food.
It's 5:17, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And Chrystia Freeland has officially resigned from Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet. We're going to tell you why, and we'll also have reaction from the PM. That's next. Transport and Internal Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from cabinet.
In a letter posted on social media this afternoon, Freeland said she has decided to step down with tremendous gratitude and a little sadness from cabinet. She also said she does not intend to run in the next federal election, adding that it's now the right time to make way for others and seek fresh challenges for herself after 12 years in public life.
Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a letter that Freeland will remain as an MP in the interim and is going to be appointed as special envoy to Ukraine. So Freeland visited Ukraine last week with Canada's ambassador. A senior government source tells CTV News that Carney wanted this second departure of Freeland's from cabinet to be very different from last December, adding that the friendship between the two is genuine.
Freeland's announcement drew reaction from several politicians, including Premier Doug Ford.
She's always a friend. I talk to her almost daily, bi-daily, and she's a good person, and she'll do a great job over in Ukraine, and I support her all the way.
She's had literally every tough assignment there is in government, and she's done it with extraordinary flair. And
Chrystia and I are friends. I have a deep respect for Chrystia. There's a little bit of sadness to see her move away from this place, from Parliament, but also I'm happy for her.
She's an extraordinary person, and if Minister Freeland wants to serve in that capacity, I think she would do a wonderful job.
Flavio Volpe is the president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and also serves alongside Freeland on the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations. He posted about her departure.
He writes, Chrystia Freeland was our quarterback in NAFTA negotiations with a hostile Trump 1.0. She was central to Canada's successful management of the pandemic crisis. She galvanized a global alliance for Ukraine's dogged defense versus Russia's attack. A prodigious Canadian. She's earned our high praise.
And the Prime Minister's office has confirmed that Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will absorb Freeland's internal trade duties. Stephen McKinnon, the leader of the government in the House of Commons, is going to take on the role of Transport Minister.
The finance minister says the federal budget will be tabled on November 4th.
This is going to be a generational investment in our future. We're going to build this country, Mr. Speaker. We're going to protect our communities. We're going to empower Canadians. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're going to build this country like never before. We're going to build the Canada of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, we are the true north, strong and free.
Prime Minister Carney has characterized the upcoming budget as one of austerity and investment. The budget is expected to run a substantial deficit, one that Carney recently said is going to be larger than last year. He attributed the increase in part to the ongoing tariff dispute with the U.S. The minority Liberals will need support from at least one other party to pass the budget in the fall season.
Air Canada says the union representing its flight attendants has requested that mediation be canceled after members voted against a wage agreement earlier this month.
Yeah, in a statement, the airline says that QP asked you to dispense with the mediation process. Instead, the wage component, that's going to go directly to arbitration. Air Canada says it has agreed to the request and that flights will continue to operate as normal. So the recent strike by flight attendants, they grounded more than 3,000 flights, stranding about 550,000 passengers.
It's 5:23, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Actor and Oscar-winning director Robert Redford has passed away today. We're going to take a look at his legacy and life.
Legendary actor Robert Redford has died.
Redford, who was 89, was known for a number of films, including starring in and co-producing All the President's Men, which detailed the Watergate investigation. Redford also starred in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and directed the award-winning films such as Ordinary People and A River Runs Through It.
This is a guy who could do almost anything on film. And I think that because he was so unbelievably handsome and charismatic, that he was often, at the time, by contemporary critics, written off as just a pretty boy who wasn't all that talented. Look at those films. Look at All the President's Men, which is like a paranoid thriller. You look at The Way We Were, deeply romantic film. You look at The Sting, which is kind of a caper film. All came out within just a few years of one another, all completely different. And the thing that links them all is Robert Redford. He's the glue that holds every one of those films together.
Redford, a dedicated environmentalist, died today at his home in the mountains of Utah, surrounded by those he loved, according to his publicist. Redford lived in Sundance, where he launched the annual Sundance Festival for Independent Film.
Barbara Streisand, who starred with Redford in The Way We Were, says every day on the set was exciting, intense, and pure joy. She says he was charismatic, intelligent, intense, always interesting, and one of the finest actors ever.
It is 5:27, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
The wreckage of a small plane has just been removed from the site where it crashed. This is near Stadium in Monarch Park. They're going to have the latest on the investigation into the cause. The city's latest murder victim has been identified. CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan tells us about the suspect in custody and the one police are looking for.
The plane that crashed near an East End high school, it is being removed. Just saw it move from that scene just a short time ago. Sijia Liu has the latest on this investigation and what students are thinking about this wreckage.
Not guilty. That is the ruling in Toronto City Councillor Michael Thompson's sex assault trial. We're going to have more on the judge's decision.
And Chrystia Freeland resigning from Prime Minister Carney's cabinet. We have more on her next move. That's a personal one.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Melissa Duggan. Thanks for being with us tonight. Engine failure is being cited for the crash of a small plane at Monarch Park Stadium in Toronto's East End.
CP24 Sijia Liu continues our live coverage with the latest. So, Sijia, they're removing the plane, but not before students got a chance to come out and take a look at it up close, right?
Yeah, this plane landed right next to a school, so this was certainly the talk of the classroom all day long. Students have been coming here checking out the plane. But where I'm standing right now is where the crash took place. You can see how narrow this parking lot is. There are still skid marks on the ground, and the fence that was broken has just been put back up. So that gives you an understanding of just the minimal damage from this emergency landing. But it was around 8 o'clock last night when the Transportation Safety Board said says there was a small plane flying from Orillia to Billy Bishop Airport. It had an engine failure, and that's when they had to make an emergency landing. And because of the quick thinking by the pilot, it landed right here in this alleyway between Monarch Park Stadium as well as the field. There were actually people playing soccer on the field when this all happened, and no one was hurt at all. There was 3 people inside the plane, a pilot and 2 passengers. They were able to walk away without any injuries. All those people playing soccer on the field, they were able to continue their game. It was like any other regular night, minus this plane that had made this emergency landing. Now, we have learned this plane was rented from a company called Flight Club. They told us that engine failures do happen, but the fact that this was such minimal damage, no one was injured, really shows how skilled the pilot was in this situation. Take a listen to how the president of Flight Club described it.
It's hard to speculate as to what happened. It's a machine. There are a number of things that could go wrong. But with airplanes, airplanes are sort of inspected significantly more than a car. So there's a heavy annual inspection process where the entire maintenance from sort of tip to tail of the airplane is checked through. And then in addition to that, there's an oil change that occurs every 50 hours along with other calendar maintenance items. So it's hard to say.
And this all happened in a very densely populated neighborhood with a school right beside it, Monarch Park Collegiate Institute. The school was still open today. Classes were as normal because of the minimal damage, but students certainly said this was very curious. Everyone wanted to come out here and check out what happened, especially considered no one was injured. So there was a bit more lightheartedness when it came to this topic. But we spoke to the principal of the school just on how everyone is feeling right now.
When I got here, everything was calm. Police were on scene, fire was on scene. There were community members, but we were glad to find out that there were no injuries, that the people were unharmed in the plane, and hugely thankful that nobody on the field, because there were people playing on the field at the time, was injured. So that was our number one concern. And then we were able to pretty quickly determine that there was no damage to the facility, so school would be able to operate this morning as per usual.
Incredible miracle. That's how people in this community are describing this crash. And as you can see behind me, we're less than 24 hours after this emergency landing, and you can barely tell that a plane landed here last night. So Melissa, Bakari, certainly it's going to be a story to tell for anyone who was here last night, especially those playing their soccer game. But everything looks like it's going back to normal. And the good news is here, no one was injured at all in this incident.
Okay, live in East York, CP24, C. Duluth. Okay, it's 5:34. Let's get a check on the evening commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Adjoa and Tiayapoa.
Yeah, Bakari, it continues to be quite a tough afternoon drive, especially if you're a commuter on the Don Valley. An update, though, to a collision we've been watching for the last little bit, southbound Don Valley Parkway, south of Bayview Bloor. This collision now just in the right lane. They managed to open the center lane, which is good news for commuters coming on the southbound side because the delays still are there from the 401. And then on the northbound lanes of the Don Valley Parkway, still heaviest off the Gardiner, continues slow to just as you make your way north of Don Mills. The good news, long-standing collision, which was there for about an hour and a half in the 2 left lanes, finally cleared the highway. Headed towards the 401, we are dealing with some problems on the eastbound lanes of the 401 in the collectors. This is through Islington. We are dealing with this collision in the left lane. Also separate problems on the eastbound 409 ramp to the eastbound 401. Find that left lane blocked with a collision as well. And we have issues that are happening on the westbound lanes of the 401 in the express just past Mavis. Looks like it is the right lane blocked. That is following a stalled vehicle. And in another stall, this is on the Niagara QEW ramp to the westbound 403 at the Oakville end. You'll find the left lane blocked in another stall. So again, a busy afternoon on city streets. A collision on Bathurst and St. Clair. I'll send it back to you both.
Thanks for that, Adjoa. A large police presence remains in the Kingston and Galloway roads area as the investigation continues into the city's latest homicide.
Yeah, police have one suspect in custody, but they're also looking for a second suspect. They say approached the victim before he was shot and killed. So let's go live to CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan, who's at the scene. Steve.
Yeah, Bakari, Toronto Police tell us that they responded in the vicinity of 4301 Kingston Road last night at 10:21 p.m. regarding the sound of gunshots. When they arrived on scene, just east of where I'm standing right now, they located a 23-year-old man who had been shot, and he died as a result of his injuries. So this is now the city's latest homicide. Uniforms have spent a good part of last night and today canvassing 4301 Kingston Road and the townhomes that are just east of this location, looking for witnesses, looking for surveillance video, and looking for evidence. So we did hear from the officer in charge of the homicide earlier today, and he said that this was, in fact, basically a targeted shooting. The person that is under arrest right now is facing one count of first-degree murder. The officer in charge said that this is obviously, they have evidence that there is some suggestion of planning and deliberation. There's a second suspect outstanding. No description of that suspect as of right now, and nor do we know whether or not a firearm was seized or not. Here is more from the officer in charge and from a resident who I spoke with earlier on today as well. Let's hear both.
I do have information that he had a rap persona. To the extent of that, I really don't know. I don't know how popular he was. I don't know what platforms he was on. I do know that he had some music he released. And keep in mind, this is really, really early in the investigation. We got called out last night right as this happened. And as you can imagine, that's lots that we've been up to.
I heard a couple gunshots, but I didn't think much of it because we hear them quite often. And we saw all these sirens, police vehicles, couple paramedic vehicles, and we noticed that some of the vehicles seemed to be like undercover police. They were definitely carrying out some sort of an operation. They were looking through the alleyways, through the backyards. I think like the whole neighborhood was on lockdown, so we were actually too afraid to go outside.
Local residents told me and my colleagues earlier today that the deceased was in fact a known East End rapper, and he went by the stage name of Paco. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thanks a lot for that, Steve. Durham police are investigating the death of a woman in Newcastle as a homicide.
Yeah, officers responded to a call. This is at a home in the area of Farrell Avenue and Highway 2 shortly after 9 this morning. They found a woman in her 60s with what investigators are only describing as obvious signs of trauma. She was pronounced dead at the scene, and police are urging anyone with information about the case to come forward.
As you can see, this area behind me is quite isolated. However, if anyone does have information, we are asking them to come forward. We are currently speaking with witnesses to try to determine and build a timeline as to what occurred here.
No information about a possible suspect has been released yet.
Well, a Farm Boy store on DuPont Street near Christie has temporarily closed for preventative maintenance after another store was temporarily shut down last week after failing a food safety inspection.
The store at 740 DuPont is closed today, but slated to reopen tomorrow. Public health inspectors cited 3 Dine Safe infractions at the DuPont store last month, including failing to protect against harboring of pests. The store received a conditional pass. A statement from Farm Boy says they're taking every step to provide the safest possible environment.
All right, it's 5:39, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Bonnie Crombie canceling her first scheduled public appearance today since announcing that she'll be stepping down. And the premier was asked about her resignation. We've got those comments coming up next. Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie canceling her first scheduled public appearance since announcing that she will resign.
Yeah, Crombie was set to appear at the International Plowing Match in Niagara today. Members of her caucus were there, including John Fraser. He now said he will not be running for the leadership. Others, including Ted Sue and Adil Shamji, said that it's too early to say.
She's still the leader. We still are operating in the same way. I still am the parliamentary leader. We meet regularly. We've been talking. We met, a couple days after. We're going to be ready for the 21st of October, and so she's. I know that she's. I talked to her yesterday. I talk to her every day. She deserves a bit of space and a bit of time. And I'm sure that Bonnie will be the opportunities will come for her very quickly.
Premier Doug Ford was asked about Crombie's resignation at today's plowing match.
I just wish her all the best. It's a big sacrifice. She was out there. She put herself out there. It's a big sacrifice to her family and her friends. So I wish her all the best in her next ventures.
You guys went pretty hard at her in ads. Do you think that worked?
Oh, I'm not too sure. It's all politics during a campaign. They go at me, I go at them, and then everyone should move forward together.
What do you think her biggest mistake was? Not staking out a riding sooner, perhaps?
No, I wish her all the best. You know, that's it. I'll wait for the next one to jump in the ring.
CTV News political commentator Scott Reed says that Premier Doug Ford is likely not happy about Crombie's decision.
Doug Ford and his people, they felt that Bonnie Crombie was the leader they wanted in place because they thought they had spent a ton of money trying to connect and communicate with Ontarian voters about who she was, and they didn't want to lose that investment. So they wanted Bonnie where they had her, but the local Liberals, the Ontario Liberals chose differently, so now they're going to have a new leader.
Crombie decided to step down after receiving a weak show of support in a leadership vote at the party's annual general meeting. The Ontario Liberals will now have to hold their third leadership contest since 2020.
Okay, Education Minister Paul Calandra was asked about school board governance during the annual plowing match in Grimsby.
He's been...
How does that help kids in any way, shape, or form? And how do I go back to a teacher in a school who's saying, I don't have Kleenex for my kids, I don't have construction paper for them or pencils, but yet one trustee is spending money on things that have nothing to do. We have another trustee going to a casino, expensing meals at casinos, downloading, as I said yesterday, who comes back from a conference or wherever she's at and decides, I want to listen to Suspicious Minds from Elvis Presley, and I'm going to bill the taxpayer for that $1.22 Suspicious Minds, right?
We're talking about $1.22. It's a $30 billion budget.
Exactly. That's the entire point. You just hit the nail on the head. It is an over $30 billion budget, and we should expect better from a system that invests so much in education.
Calandra has said he can't see putting boards currently under supervision back in the hands of trustees and is looking at eliminating the positions of trustee altogether. Earlier this year, the province took over 4 school boards, including the TDSB and TCDSB, over what he's calling ongoing cases of financial mismanagement.
It's 5:45, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Up ahead, formal charges have been laid against a suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting, and prosecutors say they will be seeking the death penalty. Stay with us.
Transport and Internal Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from cabinet.
In a letter posted on social media this afternoon, Freeland said she's decided to step down with tremendous gratitude and a little sadness from cabinet. She also said she does not intend to run in the next federal election, adding that this is the right time to make way for others and to seek fresh challenges for herself after 12 years in public life.
Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a letter that Freeland will remain as an MP in the interim and will be appointed as special envoy to Ukraine. Now, Freeland visited Ukraine last week with Canada's ambassador. A senior government source tells CTV News that Carney wanted this second departure of Freeland from cabinet to be very different from last December, adding that the friendship between the two is genuine.
Freeland's announcement drew reaction from several politicians, including Premier Doug Ford.
She's always a friend. I talk to her almost daily, bi-daily, and she's a good person, and she'll do a great job over in Ukraine, and I support her all the way.
She's had literally every tough assignment there is in government, and she's done it, with extraordinary flair. And
Chrystia and I are friends. I have a deep respect for Chrystia. There's a little bit of sadness to see her move away from this place, from Parliament, but also I'm happy for her.
She's an extraordinary person, and if Minister Freeland wants to serve in that capacity, I think she would do a wonderful job.
The Prime Minister's office has confirmed that Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will absorb Freeland's internal trade duties, as Stephen McKinnon, the leader of the government in the House of Commons, is going to take on the role of Transport Minister.
The Utah County Attorney filed formal charges today against Tyler Robinson, accused of fatally shooting conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
And 22-year-old Robinson faces a total of 7 charges, including one for aggravated murder. And Robinson's accused of firing the shot that killed Kirk. This was during an appearance at Utah Valley University last Wednesday. He was arrested nearly 2 days later after a family friend told police he confessed to the shooting. Well, today, the county attorney announced he would be seeking the death penalty for Robinson.
The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts.
Robinson will be held in the Utah County Jail without bail.
Israel's defense minister says that Gaza is burning as a new ground offensive begins.
Airstrikes pounding Gaza City in the lead up to the operation, knocking down towers and leaving dozens dead. The UN estimates more than 70,000 people have fled the city in the last few days alone, and thousands more are scrambling to leave. The European Union is urging Israel to halt its ground invasion and appears poised to increase pressure on the country. The UN also spoke out against the offensive and released a new report today concluding that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza.
Today, we witness in real time how the promise of never again is broken and tested in the eyes of the world. The ongoing genocide in Gaza is a moral outrage and a legal emergency. Member states must act now. There is no need to wait for the International Court of Justice to declare it a genocide.
Honestly, the Israeli responses are becoming so boring. You know, they say the same thing every time. They're producing the responses by ChatGPT these days, and they spend so much money in the Foreign Ministry on propaganda, you think that they would actually come up with something original. I would want them to engage with the evidence, but they never engage with the evidence. They put the report into ChatGPT, and then they put out the standard response.
The UN report cites the scale of the killings, aid blockages, and forced displacement in its finding of genocide.
It is 5:53, 24 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And the Jays will continue their series with the Rays. This is happening tonight at MLB.com as reporting that Bo Bichette is not going to be back for the regular season.
Score the go-ahead run.
Toronto City Councilor Michael Thompson has been acquitted in a sexual assault trial.
Thompson was found not guilty on both counts of sexual assault. The judge delivered the verdict today, saying he wasn't satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt. The longtime politician was accused of sexually assaulting 2 women at a cottage in Muskoka over the Canada Day long weekend in 2022. Thompson denied the allegations and told the court he never did anything inappropriate.
I know that there are people and forces behind why I'm here, and I'm really relieved that I'm actually now able to move on with my life. It's been a very, very difficult period. However, I've had an amazing lawyer who has been extremely professional and very helpful in dealing with this particular issue. And again, I'm just relieved that this is over. It was a 3-year almost nightmare, and I just want to get on with my life.
Well, the Blue Jays are looking for their 6th straight win tonight after yet another come-from-behind victory in Tampa.
Base hit into left field. And Ernie Clement is rounding third and on his way in to score the go-ahead run.
After trailing 1-0 for most of the game, the Jays tied it in the 8th. George Springer drove in the go-ahead run in the 11th inning, and the Jays beat the Rays 2-1. Trey Savage made his first big league appearance for the Jays. He did not disappoint. He recorded 9 strikeouts, setting a franchise record for the most in a major league debut. The Jays will look for another win tonight with Jose Barrios on the mound. The co-hosts of Blue Jays Today spoke to CP24 about what the Jays need to do in the run up to the playoffs.
7 games, right? You know, you win 7, a couple other people lose a few along the way as well. Like, bang, there you are. And I just think that getting the bye is so important for this team because we've seen as the seasons progress, like, this is a very good squad. You put them in a wild card series, you don't know what can happen. Maybe some bad luck, maybe some rough bounces, maybe one underperformance, and oh, there you go, season's done. But over the course of a 5-game series in an ALDS, I think that the talent and the fundamental baseball skills on this roster is going to show up.
And the Blue Jays are going to be without shortstop Bo Bichette for the remainder of the season. Melissa, I know you're pretty bummed about that.
Yeah.
But Jays manager John Schneider confirmed the news today, saying that the team is focused on getting 27-year-old back in time for the playoffs. That's exciting, right?
Oh, we need him for that. Yeah, for sure.
So the All-Star shortstop sustained a left knee sprain. This was September 6th after a collision at home plate with the Yankees catcher. Bichette leads Major League Baseball in hits and is among the league leaders in batting average.
Listen, we need him to get his rest in time for those playoffs. We need Bo, for sure. Listen, it is 5:58, 24 degrees. Go Jays, go. This is Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
Well, the city's latest homicide victim has been identified as 23-year-old Shakur Clark Sargent. And police are looking for a suspect in this fatal shooting. One arrest has been made. Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.